This week, we witnessed something historic. The United States returned 105 Indian antiquities, precious artifacts which were stolen from the country. They include a Yakshi plaque from the 1st century BC, a dancing idol of Lord Ganesha from the 9th century, and a 10th century idol of Lord Kuber, the god of wealth. America's decision to return them has sparked a debate on whether other countries should also do this, whether Western museums should return looted artifacts to their country of origin. These museums have locked up the precious legacy of 1 million people, antiquities which were either plundered during the colonial era or stolen by dealers for personal gains. But the nations where these artifacts are kept have rejected all demands to return any of them. So is it time that they're made to do so? Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. My name is Priyanka Sharma. They say in law, a thief is not allowed to keep ill-gotten gains. No matter how long they were taken, they must be returned. No matter that the thief may have improved them, they must be returned. European nations wrongfully took cultural riches. They took them from countries that are now independent states, but most of them refused to even discuss returning them. They refused to make reparations for their historical wrongs. According to the Archaeological Institute of America, 85 to 90% of classical artifacts in museums do not have a documented provenance, meaning they don't have a record of ownership or a record of origin, through which museums can then justify their right to possess them. Most of these artifacts are from Africa and Asia. In 2018, the French government commissioned a report. Guess what they found? Nearly 90% of Africa's cultural heritage is held by museums and institutions outside of Africa. Nearly 90%. France alone has 90,000 such objects. Let me repeat, stolen objects. 2 years back, French President Emmanuel Macron decided to make some amends. He made French museum bid adieu to a trove of treasures. At least 26 stolen artifacts taken from the Kingdom of Benin were sent back. The works included palatial doors and royal thrones. They were all returned as a gesture of humility. 2 years on, this move has had ramifications across Europe and the United States. It has opened up a debate on looted artifacts, a debate to send them back to their country of origin. A few countries have ceded ground, especially in the case of India, one of the biggest victims of colonial loot. Let me explain. In March 2022, Australia returned 29 artifacts that were stolen from India. They included sandstone sculptures from Rajasthan, bronze statues from Tamil Nadu, and paintings of Indian gods from Kangra in Himachal Pradesh. Then in August last year, the Glasgow Museum in Scotland returned stolen artifacts as well. This was the first repatriation to India from a British museum. A total of 6 items were repatriated. This includes 14th century carvings and 11th century stone door jambs. These were all looted from Indian shrines and temples in the 19th century. Besides this, there are 228 other artifacts which have been returned in the last 8 years. They were retrieved from countries like Singapore, Germany, and Canada. Some of these artifacts were stolen by antique dealers. Others were plundered as spoils of war, all during colonial times. This is a significant diplomatic win for the Indian government. Since 2014, it has made consistent efforts to bring stolen artifacts back home. These efforts are slowly but certainly bearing fruit. But this mission will remain incomplete until the mighty museums are made to act. For instance, the British Museum in London, the Louvre in Paris, the Humboldt Forum in Berlin, the Getty Center in Los Angeles, and of course the Metropolitan in New York. You ask them about colonial loot and they'll play ostrich. They consider these artifacts spoils of war, an argument that doesn't hold water anymore, neither morally nor legally. International law does not allow it. You see, the concept of finders keepers does not apply anymore. There's a United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. It reaffirms the right of a country to reclaim its treasures. It obliges museums to return property that was taken without free, prior, and fair consent. In fact, this has been recognized by courts. In England, Ireland, and the US courts, they have ruled in favor of returning wrongfully acquired artifacts. They've said that other countries have sovereignty over items which they think constitute keys to their heritage. And it's not just these courts. who back this call, human rights treaties also support what they call the right to culture, the right to reclaim what belongs to your culture. It was colonized for 2 centuries by the United Kingdom, and this was colonialism in its most predatory form. The British looted everyone and everything. In today's value, the loot would amount to an eye-watering sum of $45 trillion. This is according to a research by Columbia University Press. It says that Britain drained a total of $45 trillion from India. For the sake of perspective, $45 trillion is 17 times more than the entire GDP of the United Kingdom. So my question is, shouldn't the United Kingdom pay reparation for this? Forget reparations. The least it can do is return India's stolen artifacts. Like the Kohinoor, one of the most precious diamonds in the world. This diamond was mined at the Kolur mine in India. It was unfairly ceded to Queen Victoria when Britain annexed Punjab in 1849. Another priceless artifact is Maharaja Ranjit Singh's throne. It's covered with sheets of engraved gold. After the Anglo-Sikh War, it was moved to the Albert Museum. It's been in Britain ever since. Just like this sandstone idol of Lord Harihara from Madhya Pradesh, this 500-kilogram copper Buddha from Bihar, and of course, the sword of Tipu Sultan. They're all locked up at museums in Britain. What's the UK's excuse to keep them, to hold on to them? My point is simple. Artifacts belong to the countries of origin, to places where they can be best appreciated, to people for whom they have the most meaning. So by holding on to them and displaying them for a fee, that too, Western museums are still benefiting from their colonial legacy, still validating their historical wrongs and injustices. Their empires have crumbled, but their sense of entitlement has not.